Hello and welcome to a special bonus episode of Disney Movie Investigation. If this is your first time watching, welcome to the show. Normally we take a look at movies that are featured on Disney+. However, for this bonus Halloween episode, we are taking a break and we are going to take a look at the history of a theme park attraction. And this episode, we are going to take a look at the Haunted Mansion. And if you are enjoying these videos, I do ask that you please hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified with each new episode. But for now, sit back and enjoy this episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like I said, today we are covering the history of the Haunted Mansion. So the creation of the Haunted Mansion goes back to the concept of Disneyland when it was being first created. Before Disneyland was even thought of, Walt Disney was thinking of developing a small park across his studio. And Disney legend Harper Goff would develop a concept piece showing a crooked street leading away from Main Street that would lead to a peaceful church and a graveyard. At the end of the street would be a rundown manor that would tower over the other buildings of the park. Walt would assist Imagineer Ken Anderson to create a story based on Goff's painting. The idea was to create a New Orleans-themed land between Frontierland and Adventureland. Flash forward to the creation of Disneyland, and New Orleans Square would appear on souvenir maps. The area promised a thieves market, a pirate wax museum, and a haunted house walkthrough. Anderson would study New Orleans and old-style plantations, and the main source of the inspiration would be the simpler Ladecker house in Baltimore, Maryland. He would create concept art with a mansion that was overgrown with weeds, dead trees, swarmed with bats, and boarded up windows and doors, along with a screaming cat weather vane. Walt would reject this idea, saying that it was too scary and he did not want to have a rundown building in his park. Walt would draw inspiration of his own from the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California. He was fascinated with the ideas of the features of the stairs to nowhere and doors that open to holes, walls, and elevators. So Anderson would develop a story based on an old sea captain who killed his wife, his nosy bride, and then hanged himself. The mansion would host an unfortunate family, a ghost wedding party, and Disney villains and spooks. In 1961, flyers announcing the upcoming Haunted Mansion was distributed with the promise that it would be completed in 1963. The construction began, and the exterior, there was delays unfortunately, and the exterior was actually only completed in 1963. The attraction would be previewed on an episode of Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color, and Walt also envisioned a restaurant being attached to the ride called Museum of the Weird. The attraction would be delayed, however, because Walt became preoccupied with the 1964 World's Fair. After Walt passed away, the attraction was redesigned. Imagineers Mark Davis, Ex Atencio, and Claude Coates would all contribute to the project. The original ride was thought of as a walkthrough attraction, with Davis and Coates disagreeing on if the attraction should be frightening or it should be family-friendly with comedy. Atencio would be the middleman, and he thought of combining the ideas from both Davis and Coates, where the ride would start off as foreboding, but transfer over into comedic characters. A theme song was also created for the ride called Grim Grinning Ghosts, and this had music by Buddy Baker and lyrics by Ex Atencio. The ride, however, was changed from a walkthrough to using a ride with an Omnimover because Imagineers wanted to have a higher ride capacity and more than a walkthrough would be able to offer. So employee previews were held on August 6th, 7th, and 8th of 1969, followed by soft openings on August 9th and 10th. A midnight press event would be held on August 11th, followed by the grand opening on August 12th, 1969. So the ride has had some major updates in the almost 50 years now of the attraction. So in 1994, a phantom piano player was added and the bride was given a full-fleshed appearance in the attic. In 2001, the seasonal overlay Haunted Mansion Holiday was created, and we have covered that in a previous video before, so I'm not going to go into much detail. And in 2004, the crystal ball with Madame Leota would become floating above the table. And finally, in 2015, the Hatbox Ghost would be added. So because this attraction was very popular, it was expanded to other Disney theme parks around the world. In Disney World's Magic Kingdom, this was an opening day attraction and would be added to the Liberty Square section of the park. It was decided that during construction that this version would be longer, featuring a library with ghost stories and marble busts of ghost riders, along with a music room and an invisible pianist that can't be seen on the floor, along with an endless staircase. In 2011, an extended interactive queue was added where guests would enter the graveyard, along with photo effects and hitchhiking ghosts at the end of the ride. For Tokyo Disneyland, this was also an opening day attraction, but this version was located actually in Fantasyland. Differences are minor, but they include a portrait painting to resemble Peter Lorre that stretches, a tall, legless ghost in the seance room, and more advanced lighting effects. So in terms of the Haunted Mansion in pop culture, there have been 2 theatrical films, one in 2003 and the other one in 2022. The 2003 one stars Eddie Murphy, and the 2022 one stars Owen Wilson. Madame Leota would be included in the television series Once Upon a Time, where she was portrayed by Susie Joachim. In 2014, Marvel Comics would release a 5-part miniseries called Seekers of the Weird, and this was based on the original Museum of the Weird concept from Rolly Cump's unused design. The Bride, Hatbox Ghost, and the Hitchhiking Ghost would all be playable players in the mobile game Disney's Magic Kingdom. Funko Games would also release a board game based on the Haunted Mansion called The Haunted Mansion Call of the Spirits, and this was released in 2020. A Lego set was also created in 2022 based on the Haunted Mansion ride. As well as there's been numerous merchandise as well as different inspirations based on the ride sold at Disney parks, as well as stores like Hot Topic and Halloween stores. So that's a kind of a brief history of the Haunted Mansion. So if I would love for anyone to please leave a comment below on what they think or what their favorite memory is of the Haunted Mansion. So as we look forward to our next bonus episode next month, we will be taking a look at a Disney Channel favorite as we take a look at the Proud Family. So until next time, I hope you have a magical day, and we will see you real soon.